From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Wednesday, April 23rd. Here are today's headlines. Lebanon could claim up to $1 billion in damages through foreign courts in relation to the country's largest financial scandal. That's according to a former Lebanese prosecutor speaking to The National. It's tied to the Fori case, which alleged hundreds of millions of dollars in public funds were embezzled and invested in real estate abroad. Funds could offer some relief for the country. Lebanon has faced a crippling economic crisis for over 5 years. Its political and financial elite have shown little willingness to reform the banking sector or address financial losses estimated at $70 billion.
What can the country do to recover from this crisis, and where can it find the money?
The National's Nada Maucourant Atallah reports from Beirut.
Well, one former Lebanese judge told The National in a very rare interview with the press that the country could bank on the recovery of ill-gotten assets. What are ill-gotten assets? These are funds, public funds, belonging to Lebanese citizens, which have been siphoned off the country and invested abroad.
Former Judge Jean Tanous said the compensation could include $330 million allegedly misappropriated from Lebanon's central bank since 2002 by disgraced former governor Riyad Salameh, as well as interest accrued over more than 2 decades.
This case, the Fori case, is being investigated in Europe and in the United States. But Jean Tanous said that there are still crucial steps to be taken by the Lebanese state if it ever wants to see the money again. Jean Tanous said that lessons are yet to be drawn from Lebanon's biggest financial scandal and that up until now, impunity remains pervasive.
New Israeli military activity hit Lebanon in a rare attack outside of the country's south since the ceasefire with Hezbollah took effect in November. The drone attack killed a military leader of the Islamic Group. That's according to a senior Lebanese security official. Hussein Atwi was hit while driving his car in a town about 20 kilometers south of Beirut. The Islamic Group later confirmed the death. They said he was a university professor who had been driving to work in Beirut. The Islamic Group is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood in Lebanon. It has a military wing as well as a political party with 1 seat in the Lebanese parliament. The capital, Beirut, has been attacked twice since the ceasefire took effect. The majority of Israeli attacks before and after the ceasefire have been on alleged Hezbollah members and positions, but other groups, such as the Islamic Group, have also been targeted. Despite the ceasefire, Israel continues to bomb South Lebanon on a daily basis, and its soldiers remain in 5 positions inside Lebanese territory. Iran would offer major opportunities for foreign firms if Washington and Tehran secured a deal on the country's nuclear program and wide-ranging sanctions were lifted. That's according to Iranian business representatives speaking to The National. The National's Lizzie Porter reports from Istanbul.
So there's some kind of optimism among Iranian business people that this could be an opening for both foreign investors to come and work in the country. You know, they describe things like having to use outdated and pirated versions of software because they can't access things like Microsoft or, any sort of global software that we sort of think of as household, everyday essentials.
Iran's $480 billion economy has been hampered for decades by sanctions imposed by the US, EU, and UN on much of its industry. That includes energy, banking, defense, and technology sectors.
There's also obviously an opening for Iranians to do more imports and exports as well as working within their country, importing items but also exporting. Mostly at the moment, the Iranian government relies on oil exports to bring in revenue. There are many other fields, agricultural products, petrochemicals related to the energy industry, obviously. food items, carpet. There are things like pistachios and saffron and all the sort of things that we think of as fairly cliched in relation to Iran, but they genuinely do have these, amazing raw materials that could be exported in far greater quantities than they are now to more markets if there weren't the risk of sanctions for anyone, working or dealing with the Iranian banking system or Iranian companies. One of the things that I really notice here in Turkey is the number of Iranians who come here for shopping. So shops like Zara, Mango, all of these brands that they can't easily get in Iran. They come to Turkey to get them. And it always makes me think, this is very anecdotal, but, were those companies, were those fashion brands to have branches in Iran? Obviously, that would make it much easier for Iranians to get the branded items that they want and should be allowed to access like anyone else, and would potentially be a good market for them.
The measures in place aim to curb expansion of Iran's nuclear program, target those involved in human rights abuse, and, the EU says, serve as a response to Tehran's support for the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But non-sanctions related barriers to business would remain and need tackling from within.
This all said, that there are also issues that are not related to sanctions, i.e. things that even if sanctions were lifted would still cause problems for people trying to do business in Iran, and they're around regulation, bureaucracy, corruption and lack of transparency. So Iranian business people are really pushing for reforms to laws and, even trying to join the World Trade Organization, which is a body that Iran is not a member of at the moment, and implementing their standards to encourage or entice foreign investment into Iran.
Iranian and U.S. officials held a second round of talks in Rome on Saturday, and a third round is scheduled to take place this coming weekend in Muscat. The prospect of an agreement is more likely than it has been in years. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live updates at our site. Yasmin Altaji, The National.